Happy Friday, Instagram. How's it going? I hope you're all well. I've just sat down at my desk now. I'm excited about this call today. We're talking. Sorry, I have braces, so if I'm spitting at the screen, I don't know. Was I talking to you last week? Did I have them? I have no memory. I'm excited to talk to my guest today, gang. Her name is Clare Laughlin. Oh Jesus, like a gem of a human. I swear, I love her. She's amazing. The biggest heart, doing amazing, really, really impactful work. What is her work all about? Well, she wants to make art accessible to everybody, and specifically for Clare, it's working with the visually impaired. And I'm dying to bring her on for her to explain to us this passion that she has for what she does, and how she got that passion and dived into that idea and that really want to change something to now. You know, she started this in 2014, and Claire, you'll correct me if I'm wrong on this, but and so she's been at this a long time, from idea 2014 right up to now, where she's sitting on the board for fighting blindness in Ireland. Huge accomplishment. Does it take long? Yes. And I always talk about this, gang, in business, and the factory members will always say I'm on about this all the time, and even you might see me talking about this on social. It's a long game. We have to be patient. We have to be consistent. We have to keep turning up, keep believing in what we want to bring to the world, the changes that we want to make. Consistency is key. And I've been there. I know what it's like when that needle does not move and you just have to keep at it. So patience is key, and it has paid off for Claire, because her patience now is beginning to turn into something amazing. And I want her to come on to share with us her journey to here, and how she really made this happen from idea to this big passion project that's getting international acclaim now, which I'm so excited for her. And she's such a wonderful, wonderful lady. So I'm going to bring Claire on. There she is now on this topic. We'll wait till she comes in now. The old tech is working there now. Hello, Claire.
Hi, Tara. How are you? Can you hear me?
I can hear you well, girl. I can hear you well.
Good. Thank you very much. Well, you know, I had to put a bit of makeup on for today now, Tara.
I know, yeah. Well, I still have the slippers on under. I never get out of my slippers, girl. I'm in them all the time.
Well, we won't look down. We'll just do the head and shoulders.
The head suits me perfectly. So I was just telling everyone there, and there was lots of people reaching out to me when they saw you were coming on, going, what's this? Like, a lot of people don't know about the Scene Unseen. They will, and I know you're working really hard at getting it out there and spreading the word on this. And a lot of people have asked me, actually, like, and you know yourself, Claire, from being ingrained in the creative sector and gone through the academic side, and, you know, done so many things and worked with different people. We all have these passion projects and these things that really drive us to get up and do what we do every day around our work. And you've really built this into something so substantial and meaty and amazing. A lot of people have asked me, how did she do it? How did you get from, you know, idea to actually now, as I said on the intro, you sitting on a board for Fighting Blindness Ireland, like, such a huge journey. I know it wasn't easy, it never is. But I'd love for you to maybe give us an idea first of what Scene Unseen is all about, and then how you know, got here from the very first beginning of your idea. It'd be amazing. Thank you.
Thank you, Tara, and thank you very much for the invitation, and thanks to everybody for joining in. Okay, so I went back to college in my 50s. I'm now 62. And I did a degree. I was always interested in art. And I did a degree in visual art. So for that degree, I had to come up with a project. It was called, the module was called Issue-Based Art. And that's actually where I started researching what it was like for somebody, because I was doing a degree in visual art. I said, okay, what about somebody who couldn't see? You know, how is art, how can they appreciate art? So, I did lots of research. I did looked at philosophers, and because art is based on philosophy, it is, and the visual art, like what you can see, is considered the top of the pyramid. So the bodily functions like smell, touch, and taste were considered base senses, and that's why galleries are such a visual space, because the visual was considered top of the pile. And so that is why. And it's changing slowly. Galleries are now more interested in engaged, facilitating engagement in art, as opposed to just putting on a show and letting people walk around. And it's much more engaged, and that's what Scene on Scene is. So it's specifically for visually impaired people.
And it's interesting, isn't it, Claire, that whole engagement thing, because we see it on social media all the time. Like, it's not just about that pretty picture. It's the engagement. It's how you make people feel. It's that inclusivity. And it's really, the world is really going that way, which is amazing for this particular project of, accessibility to things, So, like, I know that like, how does it work? So say if I had a relation that was visually impaired, or me myself had issues with sight, and but I loved art, like, how does it work for somebody to do it? Like, how do you do it?
Okay, so first of all, I invite them, and it's open to everybody, and it's free. So because galleries have free entry in Ireland, which is terrific, they also need to facilitate everybody, not just people who can see, and people with all types of abilities and disabilities. So my main concern is the visually impaired. So I invite them, they email me or they phone me, and I take their details and, just have a little brief chat with them and see where they're coming from, because it's very important to listen to what they want, so that you understand and you explain to them what's involved. So basically, we would go in. I would have pre-arranged with the gallery, so we have one Scene on Scene every month, and so I would, before the event, I would go to the gallery and we would discuss and pick out maybe 2 artworks, or if we were doing a current exhibition, we would maybe pick out 2 artworks from that exhibition. Then we, if possible, chat to the artist who is doing the exhibition or who did the artworks. Obviously, that's not possible if they're dead, but we do the research, and we have.
Yeah.
I create tactile elements so that it's not just a verbal description. A verbal description is too dry.
Okay.
And yeah, so like a verbal description is, so this painting is 4 foot by 10 foot, and it's a very thick frame, and it has it's an oil painting. It's of a landscape in the foreground. That's a verbal description.
Yeah.
But while that's important, it's not enough. So if we were, say, doing a landscape, say if it was of a cherry blossom tree, we would have something, maybe fresh blossoms for people to touch.
Oh.
And if you could get the smell of the cherry blossom, and then you'd have a piece of bark of the tree. So you're creating that atmosphere of the painting. Yeah, because actually we miss out a lot. Us visual people miss out an awful lot, because when we go into a gallery, we flick around, and if something draws our attention, we stop. Whereas a visually impaired person takes much more time, does much more research, and it's a whole different engagement.
It's like an immersive experience of touch and smell, and then the audio. And like, we were talking about this recently, how I was going, Jesus, I'd love that. Like, I want to experience that. So I feel like it's something that can be brought to like, making that accessible to everybody. It's so powerful, using all the senses, right?
we have to turn away sighted people. You know, it was on the Ryan Tubridy show, radio show one morning, and I was on in the Crawford Gallery that afternoon.
Yeah.
And the switchboard was jammed with sighted people.
Oh, but it's
so
amazing.
the visually impaired people say, no, they can't come.
Tough. This is our gig.
Yeah, this is our gig. Yeah.
But isn't it fantastic that it doesn't stop, or there is another way of consuming, like that it's not just because it's always been done this way, and there's that pyramid thing. It's great that you're disrupting that, and for future generations to come, it won't be on the top. Like, it could be replaced, right? I think that's so amazing. From an entrepreneurial perspective, we always want to disrupt what we've been shoved in our face for years. Like, can we do it better? Can we provide something new, right? And you're doing just that, Claire. It's amazing.
Absolutely. And like, for me, like, while I do drawings and paintings and that, it's not, I'm more interested in the actual experience. So I'm interested in exploring other artists' work, but through the medium of engaging other people in it, you know, in a meaningful way.
In a meaningful way, I think. And just, you know, I think as well, that learning just from knowing you and working with you, which I love, hopping on our calls, just like, even just for artists that are watching, trying to make their exhibitions more interesting, like, it's something to pay attention to, isn't it? Like, of how you can engage and create that atmosphere.
Absolutely. Yeah. Always, you know, put yourself in the person with the disability's shoes. Don't try and tell them what they need. You need to listen. And, you know, I am hugely grateful to the visually impaired community, because without them, Seen Unseen wouldn't exist. You know, so if you want to make your art more accessible, put yourself in the shoes of the person you want to access it. And then once you do that, you're coming at it from a different angle. You're not ticking boxes. It's not about ticking boxes. You know, I can't tell you the amount of galleries that have told me they're accessible just because they've got Braille in the lift or the toilet. And you know, the percentage of visually impaired people who can read Braille is quite small. So while it's important to have a Braille element, it's not the only element, you know, that ticks a box for visually impaired people, you know. And as well as that, you know, we need to be more mindful and courteous, you know, like, and listen, just listen. That's all you have to do. And as Valentine's Day is coming up, and I know there are loads of fabulous card people in the Biscuit Factory, and I'm really appreciative of your help, Tara, really. It has taken the next step, you know, the next 10, 15, 100 steps in Seen Unseen since I've joined you. So everybody, I'm really grateful for that. But for the card people, don't forget, visually impaired people love too. So create a card that will be, you know, that they'll be able to touch and feel. They need, you know, don't exclude them. They do love too.
I love that message. I've goosebumps. I just love that so much. And we were talking to Hilary we're doing a workshop in the factory, and we were talking to Hilary, and she brought this up, didn't she, on how we can make sure that when we're posting our social posts, that the alt text in our posts are descriptive of what is actually in the feed to help visually impaired people.
And you know, don't get upset if you're pulled up. Just try and do it better, or you know, make an effort. Like, visually impaired people will tell you. They will tell you if you listen. And you know, I've made loads of mistakes. And you know, they're very generous in their advice.
Because
so you know, don't be afraid to make mistakes.
I think that's a really good thing.
The political correctness thing is sometimes can inhibit the listening. You know, don't be afraid to have the conversation. Visually impaired people are extremely intelligent. You know, like anybody, all people are intelligent and have and need to have their voice heard, you know. you know, the stories I've heard are just incredible. You know,
Yeah, I
um,
can imagine
and I
like
have
what,
great admiration,
yeah.
absolutely huge admiration for them. They're so brave.
I think that's a really good point, though, of what stops people to even go there, and I think that's a huge thing, especially now. People pause, going, "I'm afraid to say the wrong thing, use the wrong term. Am I offending someone?" I think that's a real stopper for a lot of things going out now because people are nervous of that. Like, so I'm glad that you brought that up.
Yeah, you know, don't,
Claire.
if you make a mistake, put your hand up and say, look, I'm really sorry. I didn't
Yeah,
mean to offend you. You know, I would never do that
yeah,
intentionally. But
yeah.
look, I'm delighted you pointed it out to me, and from
You
now
know
on,
what I
I'm
mean?
going to do it better. Yeah,
Exactly.
you know,
Hey,
yeah,
Breed asked a question there, Claire. Hi, Breed. Breed says,
yeah,
"What about sculpture? Wouldn't sculpture with texture be good for the visually impaired and sighted?" So I know you did
absolutely.
a
Yeah,
sculptural walk, didn't you, Claire?
yeah.
Yeah,
That's a different project now, Tara.
yeah,
That's Shul. But yeah,
yeah,
but sculpture is amazing. But believe it or not, we're not allowed to touch lots of sculptures. So we have
yeah.
to get special permission. So sculpture, yeah, absolutely. And I'm actually talking to the Yorkshire Sculpture Park about, and there's a whole organisation in Yorkshire of sculptural institutions. So we're looking at doing a visit there. It
Mm.
probably will be 23 now because we're booked up for 22.
Amazing.
But that would be great. But even in the outdoor sculptures there, we're not allowed to touch some of them,
And that's the point,
which
isn't it? And
is crazy.
that's why your work is
Yeah,
important because even though it's there
yeah.
and you're right, Breed, it makes complete sense. So, but we're not allowed to touch it. So, and touch is that
Yeah.
it has to be accessible to touch. And it's kind of bridging that gap for facilitating those kind of workshops that you do to close that gap so people can touch it in a safe environment, like,
Yeah.
Mm.
It's about breaking the barriers down, you know, I
Yeah,
mean, and losing the preciousness, you know, like
yeah,
if you know, if you have materials that aren't going to be damaged by touching them, I don't see what the problem is, you know.
yeah.
And insurance is usually the one they hide behind, but like really, you know, we have to live our lives, and it needs a change, you know.
Yeah. Well, I think you're the catalyst for that. You'll
Thank
be out
you.
there changing things, Claire. And so just to anchor also as well, like so it started as a project, and then when you left college, like was it something that you said, right, how am I gonna, like, what would be if someone's watching this going, this is all amazing, I have this amazing project or passion that I want to create, and I just don't know how, and I've done it in my last year in university, in college, I just don't know what to do with it now. What would you advise the next step to be with a project like that, like a social project specifically?
Oh, if you have a project or any idea at all, you need to stick with it and keep learning. You know, like I wrote a thesis on the exploration of the haptic as a mode of seeing in contemporary art practice. Now, it was a pain in the butt to do a thesis, but
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it really paid off because
Mm-hmm.
the research into other artists and philosophers and even writers, like James Joyce, actually, who's very current at the moment, he was visually impaired.
Oh, yeah.
And if you read Ulysses, his description of the walk is quite it's very rich in textures under his feet and the smells and things. So reading that with a different ear for those things,
Mm,
you appreciate, um, you know, like it is important to
mm,
kind of consider all the senses. So
mm,
if you have a project and an idea that you want to go forward with, keep at it. If you need
mm,
any help, I'd be delighted to help you.
mm.
But keep at it. Don't let anybody rob it, and
Yeah.
don't let anybody put you down. Like, if you believe in your idea, it will work. You need to draw in the resources around you.
Mm,
And, you know, like this project, like Scene on Scene, I always knew it was a gold project. Like, I worked free on it up to 2019. and now I'm getting paid by the galleries. And I've gone through the funding route, and that's a whole other conversation.
Story.
But I don't do it anymore. I just, if somebody wants to do a scene on scene, they need to pay. They need to pay me for my time, and it must be free for the visually impaired.
Yes. So yeah, and just being clear on those boundaries as well.
Yeah.
So just keeping,
and you'd be amazed, people will accept it. Yeah.
Just and there's a big kind of learning in that too, of that long game, isn't there, Claire? Of not expecting even the paid thing, and this is always like a real, you know, like I always jump up and down, like don't work for free, and you know, make sure you get paid properly and do your pricing, and that's really, really important. But, and this is where something like this kicks in, when you have a project like yours, and for me too, I worked for free, giving for a long time to establish the thing, because I had a long-term plan with it. That's the caveat for that, isn't it? That sometimes you have to pause with this to know when you get to here, it'll make money for you because you've done that work. You know, it's a funny one, isn't it?
But the other thing, Tara, was it was a project that I was so passionate about, and when I started it, and I couldn't stop it, you know, because I'd be letting them down, you know. And I just believed in it so much. So I said, no, I you know, and I've gone through all of the heartache of not being funded, and oh God, you know, this and that. But like, you know, it's a passion.
Yeah.
And it's brilliant. Yeah. And I mean, fair dues, Tara, you explore passions in a different way and make them more feasible, you know, because it's all very well to have a passion. If you can't afford to put the passion into practice,
then,
you know,
then there's
it has to be feasible.
That's right.
So thank you.
You're
welcome. It's now very feasible.
Yes, it is. And we knew that. We knew it would come. And again, it's having the patience to keep planning and have a strategy and know your goal. And the goals are wibbly wobbly, they change, and they, you know, but have that vision, for want of a better word, vision for what you want to do, you know what I mean? And I think it's really,
and knock
really
on
important.
Doors.
Knock on
doors and you know, get onto your politicians, and you know, dance up and down. If you're not getting you know, access to what you need to get to do a project, keep dancing up and down, you know.
And don't be afraid of it.
Don't be afraid. No. I'm actually talking, I can tell you this now, I've got the invitation. I'm actually invited to talk to the Joint Committee for Tourism, Sports, Gaeltacht, or Arts and Culture on accessibility. With two other bodies who are 100% funded, huge bodies, on the 16th of February.
Amazing. You see, that's what happens. That's what happens, Claire. Oh my God,
I'll be rehearsing for the week next week.
You will, but it comes from the heart, and it's what you've worked on for so long that it'll, you know, as always, you know exactly what you need to say as a representative of the visually impaired. That's brilliant news.
And they are so underrepresented, Tara. You know, they really are.
Yeah, so well done, Claire. That's amazing news, girl. Amazing. Well done, you.
Thank you.
So we'll be looking forward to hearing all about that when you do come out of that environment. And, you know, that's a big, different experience, isn't it? Like, so that will be an interesting one. So the takeaway really for today, gang, is we all have those passion projects, and we all know that when we jump out of the bed in the morning, when we're doing the work that we really, really love, and for some and for many, it takes a long time to actually, you know, get the leg over that really difficult hump. And they always come, but it's that initial making money from it that makes it worthwhile. And as you said, Claire, there's so many times that you got refused for funding, which not only stops you in your tracks for how the feck am I going to pay for this, but it's also an emotional thing going, I'm not good enough for funding, obviously. They don't think there's worth in this, which really has impact, doesn't it? Don't let them stop you, though.
No,
You
and the
know?
other thing, Tara, actually, one really important thing was when you make the artistic decisions that you make, be it materials or process or whatever. But there was one in particular that I always stuck to my guns with. And the amount of times that I've had people, oh, well, we want to film them, you know, and I said, it's not, you know, you're you're just going to film the experience. So you're only, you know, I only ever show the hands touching things, or, you know, there is no obvious faces involved. It's not about blind people in the gallery. It's about a non-visual experience of art, you know. And gosh, if I had a tenner for every time somebody said to me, oh, you should get a professional photographer and you should get this and you should get that and you should stage it. And I said, no, that's not what it's about. You don't
Yeah.
understand this project.
Yeah.
So stick to your guns.
Yeah.
Decide your boundaries and stick to them, and don't let anybody hijack them, you know.
Yes, just to please them to get the thing,
Yeah,
because it will come, it
no,
just might take longer. Yeah.
yeah, no, but you know, when you have a gold project, recognize it, and don't, you know, and hold on to it, and develop it to the best of your ability. And with people like Tara, you're on the right track. So, I know you are. And Tara, honestly, I tell you, you'd lose the best of them.
Stop. I'm blushing.
You would, really, you would. Yeah, you're terrific. Yeah.
Thanks. Look, we all have amazing things to bring to the world, and it's just, you know, just getting behind each other to make sure we don't lose momentum, and we, you know, feel supported, like even when stuff doesn't happen the way we want, to know that there's people there that will be your cheerleaders. And that's why community is so important, isn't it, Claire? Just like
Absolutely.
you were for your community, you know, that you bend over backwards for them, you know, and I'm the same. So
and yeah, we've people joining us from Florida and Turkey, South Africa, Australia, you name it, you know.
yeah, it's
amazing.
amazing.
Yeah, and they're all wondering, and when are you going to come to America? Are you going to come to Australia? I said, oh, absolutely, yeah. Not this year, no, we're booked up.
But next year, perhaps a tour. It'll be so fun.
A tour, yeah.
Claire, thank you so much for coming on today to talk to us. It was an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Tara, and thanks to everybody, and thanks to Breda for the question. And if anybody wants any help with any project, Tara, yeah, I have no problem helping in any way. The community is super. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Claire. And you can check Claire out. I'll leave the link in the comments underneath this live if you're watching the replay, to check Claire's website out and follow her on social, and wish her well with an amazing year full of projects and workshops and all the good things that you bring to the visually impaired, Claire. And I'm dying to hear about that meeting as well, and with those adulty type people over there. All the governmenty people.
They won't know what it's them, Tara.
They're good, girl. I'll be there with you. Woohoo! Go on. Thanks so much, Claire. Thanks so much.
Okay.
And I'll talk to you guys next Friday. Have a lovely weekend and keep creative. And thanks for tuning in. Bye.
Thanks a million, Tara. Bye. Thanks, everybody. Bye. 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 Bye.